So I think I've referenced this story before, but I'm actually going to get into the whole thing. And so I want to talk about something that happened one time when I was working in food service. And just before I start, just kudos to anyone who works, waiting tables, if you work as a server, whatever it is, like, kudos to you because it's really not that easy. And there's a lot of things that could just really go wrong or piss you off. So just wanted to start with that. So funny story. Years ago, I was working at a restaurant as a server, and it was really, really close to closing time. So, doing all the closing things. I'm about to close down the register, clean up the front area and then lock the doors, so on and so forth. And I want to say it might have been like, I don't know, 15 to 20 minutes. No, it was, I want to say it was somewhere between 10 to 15 minutes before closing. And, usually we don't always take orders so close to closing, but it was really quick. And so it was something that the chef could do, like, just like that. So someone called in. They wanted three side orders of plantains. And so one order comes with six. So 6 times 3, 18, right? Quick math. Remember that. Right? So I say, all right. I bring it in, put in the ticket, bring it to the back, so that the chef can, do the thing. And so they ring the bell to let me know that it's done. And I noticed that the chef had put all the plantains in a small box. So if you go to certain places and you get takeout, like, I feel like it's mostly in Caribbean restaurants, but maybe it's all of them in general. But like, there's those to go boxes, and there's one that's like this size, it's like a really, really small one. And so I'm looking at the box and it seems pretty small. And I'm like, is this three orders of plantains right here? And he says, yeah. And I was like, there's 18 plantains in this box. And then he's like, yep, there's 18. And I was like, okay, so I'm talking with him because I'm looking at the box a little funny. Like, I wasn't aware that 18 plantains could actually like fit in there. But I'm like, all right, well, I checked in with him. He's telling me that's what's going on. So I trust the chef. So I take the box, I go out, and I'm waiting for the person to come in. And so guy walks in, and I said, here you go, prop the box up on the counter. And he's looking at it funny. I was just like, I know, right? Like, the box is small. I was just like, but I checked in with the chef because I was also just taken aback and thinking, are you sure you got it right? But we talked it through. He assured me. So there's three orders in there, and he's like, okay. And so he's getting his money to pay for it. We're kind of like talking and kikiing a little bit because I just like to be courteous, and like I just naturally make people laugh, I guess. So we're talking, we make the transaction. And then he takes a box. He's like, all right, well, I'm going to take it. Hope my fiance going to be good. And I was like, it should be all set. Like, there's 18 up in there, so I'm sure she'll be good. So he takes it out. I'm proceeding to do what I was going to do before, and just closing up. And before I'm able to get to the door so I can lock it, I see someone coming through. And it was so ominous. It was like an omen. And it's just like I just saw a fairly tall woman, and she had the hair scarf. I said, oh goodness. So before she even came in, I just had a feeling. I said, this ain't finna be good, is it? Like, uh-oh. So she comes in, and she she gets upset. She's like, "What is this? This is not my order. This is not all the plantains." So on and so forth. And I don't remember everything that she and I said verbatim because it's been years now. But I did my best to be courteous, showcase some good customer service, but also be firm. And I was just like, ma'am, I'm so sorry about that. Like, I'm sorry about the box. Like, I also had, some questions. And so I checked in with the chef and, he assured me there's three orders in there. So, it's just the box that he put it in that's really small. But, you all of the plantains are in there. And she just kind of kept going on about how it wasn't, and she wasn't satisfied and other things she had to say. And I was like, ma'am, I don't know what it is we can do right now because we've just closed down our kitchen. You have your order. And so what I mean. And so I don't know, maybe I could have done it differently, but I was just trying to let her know that, like, I sympathize, I totally understand, but like I don't know what to do at this moment because I've double checked and made sure. And then and now our kitchen's closed, so I, what can we do? So eventually she leaves, and I was like, okay, I guess that's resolved. And so I'm resuming with everything. And then next thing I know, my boss, who is actually out, like just out in the back, he's chilling, and then he calls me over, and I'm like, okay. So I go over there, and do you know what happened? So I don't know what type of relationship that they have, but the fiance actually had his phone number. So do you know what she did? She called my boss and told him that I yelled at her, that I was rude and all this stuff. And I said, no, she did not. But I was so pleased to know that I didn't have to defend myself. And, the boss was like, don't worry, like, I know that's not your character. So, and I was like, oh, thank goodness. But like, even if that were true, it's like the restaurant, like between the register and then the kitchen and then like the back, there's not too much of a huge distance. So if I really was getting crazy with her, like, he would have heard. You know what I mean? Like, it's again, the distance is not very far, and I believe the back door was open. He was just kind of like getting some air or something. So I'm like, he would have known if it really got out of control. But I'm just glad to know he trusted in the integrity of my character, to know that, like, I just don't be getting buck with people like that. But yeah, so that's the story of how somebody tried to get me in trouble over plantains, just plantains. And so um, that's not the reason why I won't work in food service, but I think that that definitely contributed to it. There's other things that I learned that made me realize I don't think this is for me. But anywho, if you take nothing from this story, I just want to encourage y'all. Please be nice to people who serve you at restaurants and different food places, because yeah, I think in general I make it a point to be a good customer, but I feel like after that experience I'm just like, yeah, let me make sure that out of everyone that um this person or that person has to serve, I'm going to be the least problematic. All right, so don't give your servers a problem. They work really hard, and yeah, just be as nice as you can.